like I told you on the phone when we were discussing this, because of the sensitivity of how sensitive Muslims tend to be about this, I need to be able to openly and freely speak exactly what it is that I think and why it is that I'm making an argument. If you take offense to that, there's nothing I can do about that, but I'm going to speak freely in this debate.
Yeah, okay, so it's not speaking freely or not speaking freely. You can speak freely academically, mention facts, mention sources, mention evidences. But insulting and speaking freely are two separate things.
Yes, but the problem is that these are subjective metrics, and what you subjectively consider to be offensive, I can't do anything about. Like I can't objectively note what would be considered offensive to a Muslim if I talk about Muhammad. I can't know what that would be.
Oh, I'll give you a few examples. For instance, use cursing words, cursing slurs, make fun of the Prophet's actions or behavior specifically, make fun of his looks, right? These insinuations, these types of things is what I'm talking about. You want to objectively talk about facts, you're welcome to do that. And I think you're a very smart person. So to say that you're not able to distinguish between why is an insult and why is not, I don't think that's really true. I think you can. I'm not talking about the Muslims who get offended by anything you say. I'm not that type of person. But when you get insulting and malicious, that's a very clear thing that we both know what it is.
It's not very clear, and I'm not willing to concede that I'm clear on what that means, because it is a subjective metric, and what you may consider insulting towards your prophet may not be what I consider to be an insult towards your prophet. So this is a subjective metric. If there's anything I say which you take offense to, that is not on me. I'm not constrained by your religious tenets. In order to have interfaith dialogue, I'm going to have to, depend on reason and logic and rhetoric. And sometimes rhetoric, to even have dialogue, you must risk offense.
Again, I'm not talking about me personally. And I give examples of what I mean by offense. You still say it's subjective, and we're kind of going in a circle. But it's
because it is subjective.
Because, okay, now you're interrupting me, I didn't interrupt you. So that should be also important in the discourse. I would let you speak, I don't mind, but you also allow me to speak. And if we do in the discourse see constant interjections and interruptions, then we'll start timing the discussion. I believe that's very fair. Other than that, like every single thing you're going to interrupt when I speak, that's not going to happen. Trying to take control of the discussion. Something I can easily do too, but it just becomes, nobody is interested in that. No, this is the thing. Here is an attempt of you trying to kind of make me do that, but that's not what I do. Again, the idea about the Prophet Muhammad _salam is very important.
All right.
Otherwise, I cannot engage.
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to get into my opening statement here. And if I'm going to risk offense. If it's offensive to you, there's nothing I can do about that. But I'm going to go ahead and get my opening statement.
Well, before we do opening statements, so let us do each topic 45 minutes. Ideally, we do it free flowing. I don't really like the timing, but if it gets if there's too much interrupting, then we're going to have to do timing. But ideally, it seems like we're all on the same page that we're not going to do that. Muhammad Ali, do you want to be specific? Like, what would you at what point where religiously would you have to leave the call, because it would be we're not supposed to as a Muslim, you're not supposed to engage in conversations where it's offensive.
Yeah, so for instance, it's a very common thing where you find Christians and atheists generally using the word pedophile continuously, making, as I said, slurs or just cursing words, disgusting individual, but all of these things, right? Just usual cursing words that you would use towards the Prophet, which doesn't really add to the discussion, right? It doesn't improve anything. It doesn't add any input towards the discussion that we're having. So what we're saying is criticisms that does not add to the discussion. You want to have a talk about the discussion itself, and talk about the actions the Prophet ﷺ did. You want to describe these exact specific actions. That's up to you as well, which probably he would do. That's fine. But to add your own kind of insults with it and call him this and call him that and he was this and he was that, and no. And to that extent, then Islamically, I'm obliged. It's not even a choice, right? This is an Islamic tenet. If the Prophet or the religion is insulted, I'm not allowed to be present in that place. Whether people like it or not, that's a different story. It's not like he's going to personally, specifically try to hurt my feelings, right? Even if he insults me, I probably wouldn't care. That's like, I'm going to laugh at that. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about a religious tenet now, which is to do with the Prophet. And I also hope that we keep like good discourse with one another, because I'm not going to insult him. And so I hope that he doesn't do that with me as well, specifically and personally.
No, I made the agreement that I would not insult you personally, and I most certainly will not. I am going to dive into my opening statement. If you consider it to be offensive, there's nothing I can do about that. But I would like to stop having the meta conversation. I didn't make any agreement to whatever subjective metrics you might consider offensive. I hope that it doesn't offend you, but there's nothing I can do if it does. So.
Yeah, that's fine. And I didn't say you had an agreement. We started talking so we can clarify this point, right? So we don't have problems when we start discussing.
Sure,
right?
but there's some things, for instance, right? Like you say, the word file, for instance, that has a distinct meaning. And if it's a key point to an argument to make this claim, and it's mapped onto reality, I don't see how that's risking offense to you if it's critical to the argument structure that I'm making. This has a specific word. It's a specific meaning to the word. The meaning could specifically map on, in this case, to who this person is. I have no idea why I would not be able to use that language.
Yeah, you can use that language. I personally disagree that this is the case. Therefore, I consider it an insult. There's a discussion maybe that we're having. I don't know if it is or not. But generally, you can say that's an act of pedophilia. You don't necessarily have to direct it specifically to the individual, right? I'm being reasonable with you here. I'm not saying don't use the word at all. You can say that it's an action of pedophilia. That's it. No problem. You made your point. And then I would respond to that by saying that it is not. And then we can have the discussion. You can avoid using it specifically directly at the Prophet. You know that. And that's the only thing that I'm asking. From a religious standpoint, as I said, this is just a religious thing, and which is why I have to highlight that.
I'll do what I can to mitigate from your kind of preference here. But that's the most that I'm going to promise to do.
I appreciate that. You seem like a reasonable individual, so I hope we will be able to have the discussion without the issue. Yeah. He said 45 minutes. I don't know. Is that okay for you or 1 hour?
Yeah, 45 minutes per topic or an hour per topic is fine with me. I don't care either way, whichever one you'd prefer.
Let's do 45 each. And Andrew, does that sound? Does everything sound fair?
Yep,
and also his and what he's saying about too many times insulting or like bringing up that word. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Again, I'm not. My purpose here is not even to be insulting. It's to give what I consider to be credible facts to the purpose of the statements and the logical argumentation that I have formed, and that's the purpose of the debate. In order to have discourse, because we're dealing debates are about worldviews and paradigms, and from my perspective paradigm, I do believe that there's problems here with the man that you consider to be a prophet. That is part of my paradigm. It is part of your paradigm that this is not true. And I don't know how we can have a conversation about that without risking offense. I don't even think it's possible, but I will try to mitigate the offense if that's what the key issue is here.
That sounds fair to me.
Yeah. And I'm talking about intentional insults, and I'm not talking about things that I might personally, subjectively find offensive, this and that. People generally would. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, about the 45 minutes, if we feel like we need more when we reach the 45-minute marks, please let us know, because I think we may need more time. I may need sources to read. It might take longer time. So if we do, you're okay with increasing the time?
If we need to extend 15 minutes, then there's no problem.
Okay, all right. So I'm good. If you want to start your opening statement.
Okay, opening statement from Andrew Wilson.
Yeah, so I've tried to keep the opening statement somewhat concise. That way I'm not gish-galloping all over the place, and that way my opponent can take a single point at a time. I think that that's the fair way to do things. I also have a visual demonstration here. In regards to the idea of child brides and prepubescent sex of children, my opponent has stated, and I'm paraphrasing here, I'm not saying that these are his exact words. Sex with a child is okay in a marriage context as long as it doesn't physically or psychologically damage the child. Though he didn't use a specific word child, I'm inserting this word because I think that under the criteria he presented, it would qualify as a child. Though I don't think he owned the position, opting instead to make claims the semantics were incorrect, I'm ready to defend those semantics. I have a clip here for proof that this is indeed what my opponent has said on this topic, which I'm happy to send over as soon as the opening is done. To give you an overview of the absurdity of this position, Muslim Lantern and God Logic were attempting to argue the position of sex with 9-year-olds. In this case, it's because God Logic had brought up Aisha. I am confident that God Logic considers Muhammad to be pedophilic. I am confident that this is true. I'm not sure what age Muslim Lantern actually believes Aisha to be. However, most scholars I've read in classical sources place her at about 9 years old. It wouldn't really matter, though, if Muslim Lantern does or does not believe Aisha's age. Is this? He does not need to stand by the idea that he believes that. All I need is that he's on record saying that he believes the age of consent itself is just based around puberty, with no real clarification there as to what that means, and we'll dive into that. But let us begin with some visual examples of what this has to mean. A prepubescent vaginal depth, which I'm going to represent here with this socket. It's about 2 inches, just so you understand. This is the average depth of the vagina in a prepubescent girl and girls in early puberty, which really doesn't stop until you reach the end of puberty, where it ends up being somewhere around 4.5 to 5.5 inches. I have the medical documentation to prove this. The average Arab's penis is about 5.5 inches. I'm going to represent that here. Again, we're just talking about averages. I'm going to put these side by side so that you can understand the distinction here. You see is 5.5 inches. You see this is 2 inches. Okay? To express what this looks like in comparison, it's very important that you visually understand this. In order for Muhammad, who I think definitionally would be a pedophile, to have done 0 damage to Aisha, which is in conforming with the Muslim Lantern conditions of, quote, not hurting the girl. In this case, I would say Muhammad's penis would only be able to be roughly 1.8 inches in order to not actually, 1.8, damage this woman. 1.8 inches. Now, the reason for that is because we have the medical documentation of what is vaginal tearing and what vaginal tearing would be inside the wife. If he was anywhere even close to the averages, would cause severe damage. So we either have to conclude the damage threshold that ML is talking about here is much different than how ML presents it, or that Muhammad had a way smaller than average penis. I'm willing to accept either correction. To further demonstrate the truth of this claim, you can find more info on this in the growth of the birth canal in adolescent girls. This is done by Marquisa Lavelle. She's a PhD. She goes further into why pregnancy at a young age is generally damaging to a woman, but it's also demonstrating the physiology in the difference of canals and the difference in penis length, the difference in vagina length when it comes to people engaging with child brides. She goes into various problems of the pelvis during childbirth for prepubescent girls. And here, if you'll humor me, I'm going to give you some highlights. Again, trying to keep this somewhat brief. The size of the birth canal is smaller in the first 3 years, even past the first age of the period, than at age 18 years old. That's why we have a standard for this, by the way. People pretend it's arbitrary. It's not arbitrary. We have standards for a reason. If you even go by region, this is true. Basically, all over the world, this is true, that prepubescent girls are still going through puberty, and so their canals are growing properly. At 18, only minor differences are observable in the size of the birth canal. This is important. At 18, only minor differences are between women. In any way substantial in the birth canal. Although girls with early periods are appreciably shorter and heavier, their late maturing counterparts at this age, there really is no distinct or huge variable difference. That's why waiting until that age is usually a good idea. She goes into the various problems of this. Now, to be clear, my job is to defend, to attack this position. His job is to defend it, okay? I need you to understand that I'm not going to go with any whataboutisms. So if you say, what about the Christians, though? It's irrelevant. That is for me to defend in the next portion of the debate on the Trinity. This is purely for him to defend the Islamic position on underage marriage. It is not to do whataboutism. It is not to say, what about the Christians, though? What about them over there, though? That's all logically fallacious argumentation designed specifically to obfuscate away from the points which are being made, which is the justification inside of the Islamic worldview for why it's okay to have sexual intercourse with girls as young as 7, 8, 9 years old, why that's okay, why that's moral from their paradigm. I do not have to defend a paradigm here. It's not important that I defend a paradigm here. It's only important he defends his. The paradigm I'm defending is the Trinity in the next debate. So he can ask whatever questions that he wants in regards to clarification on what it is that I'm asking him, but it is not at all pertinent in any way, shape, or form. Whatever he thinks the Christian belief on this is, that is not what I'm here to defend. He is here to defend the Islamic paradigm. With that, I'll yield my time.
Okay, Muslim Lantern.
All right, perfect, amazing. I love the ending of his talk because it shows that how hypocritical Christians are. He's trying to put a new condition that we didn't agree upon. Is, oh, you're not going to mention Christianity, and that is not going to happen. I'm going to mention Christianity to show how hypocritical.
No, Andrew, okay. we gave you 5 minutes uninterrupted.
Christianity for you guys. I didn't take a minute, and he's already interrupted.
But I think it's fair, Andrew. He did give you 5 minutes uninterrupted. It's completely fair for him to give his time in his opening statement.
All right, thank you for muting him because I didn't even speak.
That was him. He muted himself.
All right. So he muted himself. Okay, same thing. All right, great. Now I'm going to start again what I was saying. This is what we see. Christians trying, because they're running away. They want to run away from the fact of all Christian history, church fathers, what they believed about the age of marriage, what the Bible says about the age of marriage. Instead of making this a Christian, Islam versus Christianity, which was the whole topic of the argument, he's trying to make it now, no, just speak about Islam. No, this is a Islam versus Christianity thing. People watching you are Christians. They have Christians' positions. You might disagree. You might shake your head. That's irrelevant. I'm going to mention the point anyways for the benefit of the viewers to see the hypocritical nature of the people who accuse the Prophet of something that they themselves are doing. Now, you mentioned a few things which are, I don't really need to deal with. Very, very low blows, trying to, instigate some sort of a reaction with the measurements and stuff like that. Irrelevant, not going to deal with that. Aisha, according to the Muslim beliefs, were not prepubescent. According to the agreement of Muslims, that was not the case. So all of your argument about the prepubescent stuff doesn't work because that was not the case with Aisha radiallahu anha. In fact, the Prophet waited after he made a contract with her until she reached that age in which she was then past puberty, essentially, is what we believe as Muslims. So your argument is irrelevant again. I didn't even see an argument. All you did is just you said science says 1, 2, 3. This is what we have with Christians. They don't present anything from their own faith. They just with all due respect, speak, empty speech about, this is what happens when you have intercourse and this length and that length. Where's the argument? There is zero argument that was presented. So on the other hand, I'm going to present actual arguments now. First, morality is objective in the belief of both Muslims and Christians. Morality sources from the Creator in the belief of both Muslims and Christians. So the reason this whole idea of the age of marriage, not age of consent, because Muslims don't have an idea of age of consent, that's a Western concept. We have the idea of age of marriage, and Christians had the idea of age of marriage, but it seems like it's changing these days. So this argument is not even an argument against Islam in any way, shape, or form, and I'll highlight why. First, as I said, morality is objective and it sources from God. In order for you to claim something is morally incorrect, morally wrong, you need to prove your objective morality, i.e. Christianity in your case, and this proves that Islam doesn't have an objective morality, and then in which then we can talk, is that specific actual intercourse that happens, whether that be before or after puberty, whether it is right or wrong, where did you bring this objective moral claim? As a Christian, you should find that in the Bible. So I will wait for you to present me with your lovely evidences from the biblical tradition on what is the morally acceptable age for intercourse. And if you cannot do that, then you're just saying your own personal subjective moral opinion, and we don't really care about that, just like anyone else's subjective moral opinion. That's number one, why this is not an argument against Islam, because you've not proved your objective morality. Number two, a Muslim can believe, now we talked about me and my belief, which I can highlight in a second, talk about the things that I believe in my position, but that's not what we're discussing now, but I'll present it anyways, it doesn't matter. A Muslim can believe, I'm talking a Muslim, I'm not talking about myself now. A Muslim can believe the age of Aisha was different than what we say, contract at 6 and consummation at 9. A Muslim can believe a different number. Why a Muslim can believe a different number and can still be a Muslim? Because this is not an article of faith issue. We have 6 articles of faith as Muslims. Number 7 is not the age of Aisha. We don't have that. So, an information about a prophet of an information about the wife of the Prophet ﷺ is not essential to the belief and the creed of a Muslim. If he wanted to say, okay, this specific report, I believe it otherwise, he's not going to be a non-Muslim. Therefore, it's not an argument against Islam. You're arguing against something that is not a creedal issue in the Muslim faith to begin with. So it's irrelevant. It's an irrelevant argument. It's a losing debate from the beginning for you. There are many Muslims who do believe, or there are some Muslims who do believe otherwise, that her age was not specifically that, and they talk about how the date of birth was not recorded as it is recorded today. They have his hospitals and writing the names and this and that. So the numbers and the ages and the date of birth was not as accurate as it is today. However, I hold the position that she was 6 with the contract and 9 with the consummation. That's my position. But I'm making a more important point now, which is that it is not an argument against Islam because I can still believe otherwise and be a Muslim. And therefore, that is not an argument against the religion of Islam because you're attacking something that is not a core foundation. The third reason that does not disqualify, does not an argument against Islam, is because that does not disqualify Prophet Muhammad from being a prophet with the Christian biblical standards, the objective morality of Christianity. You have prophets in the Old Testament sleeping with their own daughters. You have prophets committing polytheism. You have prophets killing and committing adultery, and they'll still considered prophets of God according to the Christian narrative. In fact, you have Isaac and Rebecca. Isaac marrying Rebecca at the age of 40, and she was 3, or all the way from 3 to 10. You can choose whichever one you like, and I can demonstrate that with evidences if you like. You're welcome to ask, and I'll give you sources and reasons and evidences for that. So we have already an example of someone who did that who was not debunked or criticized by God or corrected by God. So in reality, you don't have any objective source to claim that this specific action is wrong. I'm waiting for that objective source, which should be the Bible, or a divine revelation in which morality sources from. So that is the first thing that I'm going to say. The second thing that I'm going to jump into is my specific position. What is my specific position? My specific position, because you would like to know my specific position, so I'll make it concisely in points. And then perhaps maybe I'll let you come in because I don't want to take a very, very long segment. Okay, my position is the following. Islam allows marriage. There is no sex or intercourse or any of that before marriage. So we don't have the idea of age of consent. We have the idea of marriage. It does not allow intercourse before marriage as Christianity, but people do not keep to that tenet. The second thing is a kid, because you have not defined, and I would like your definition of the word pedophile and your definition of the word child. And when is an act considered pedophilia? What is the exact specific age in which you would consider pedophilia? And then you would give me the objective morality for where you came with these numbers from, right? Hopefully not just your subjective opinion. So second thing, a kid is someone who's under puberty, and adult is someone who's gone through puberty. In marriage, in Islam, it has to be with the agreement of the father. There's something called the wali in Islam, who's the guardian of the girl. And without his agreement, any marriage in Islam is void. Prophet ﷺ, he said there is no marriage without the agreement and the blessing of the wali, i.e. the guardian, in this case the father, right? So this is our position. Any marriage without the agreement of the father is void.
Let's let Andrew respond. I think there was a lot of points there. If you could wrap up this last one so we could let him respond.
All right, I'll make number 4. I've got like 4 and 5. I don't know if he wants all of them or not, but I'll just make number 4. If there is any type of harm on both the husband or the wife, the marriage is haram Islamically. Any type of harm that is established with evidences, with proof. So if we were to accept, and this is why I'm going to shatter his whole argument right now in a second. If we were to accept his argument that there was a scientific harm on a specific age of a girl that we can establish, then Islamically that is haram and not allowed, and therefore you have no argument there. Okay, I'll give him now the floor, as they say.
Okay, so unfortunately we have to go back to the meta here for just a second, have a meta conversation about the debate. So the Trinity is a Christian doctrine, it's not a Muslim doctrine. So I would be on defense for that portion. So for me to say, what about what Muslims believe, though, has nothing to do with the Trinity. So because it has nothing to do with the Trinity, in good faith, I would just simply defend the logical position of the Trinity. What he's doing is engaging in, I have to do whataboutisms in order to defend my worldview. Also, even if I was immoral, had no moral paradigm whatsoever, and completely didn't believe in any sort of higher power nor objective morality, I could still be able to prove inconsistencies in your moral worldview, sir. So if it's inconsistent from your worldview and you advocate that it is indeed moral, I could still prove that without having any objective standard for morals at all. Why? Do you understand that, right? You understand how debates work? You have a proposition. My job is to falsify the proposition. I don't have to give you a counter proposition. I don't have to give you a counter worldview. Totally unnecessary, just like with the Trinity. A secularist is able to falsify the Trinity just as well as an Islamicist is. Do you get that? So can we have the debate now?
You'd like me to speak? I disagree with the notions that you've made. I've not made a proposition for you to refute anyways. I was just literally giving my position a minute ago. I didn't even finish it because of the timing. So I did not give a proposition. You've not highlighted inconsistencies. You mentioned harm, and I've already told you there's a general rule in Islam. If there is harm, it's not allowed. Therefore, your argument falls apart. It's irrelevant. So that's not an inconsistency that you've provided. You talked about specifically about the Prophet's marriage.
Well, we haven't gotten into the debate yet. I need the agreement first that it's not necessary for me to appeal. Okay, can you tell me why it would be necessary for me to have an objective moral stance or give you one in order to find inconsistencies or refute whether or not inside your own ideology this is permitted by your own logic? Can you explain that to me? You know how logic works, yes?
I'm going to repeat myself again. This is a debate between Muslims and Christians, Islam and Christianity.
No,
you're making
this is a debate on a specific proposition of the age of consent in Islam. I was very specific about it.
Okay, now you're interrupting again. I'll allow you to speak. Allow me to speak.
Well, it's necessary for us to come to
everyone who watches this, and everyone who watches this, I believe, including the sneaker who brought you for this discussion, believes that this is an Islam versus Christianity thing. If it's not, there is no point of having it. The only reason I'm having this discussion,
you can't defend the position.
I respond. Do you like me to respond, or you want to interrupt me with me responding? The reason is very simple. The only reason I'm having this discussion, anyways, is because when we have discussions about Islam with Christians, we get the comment trolls in Sneaker's community saying, why don't you discuss or debate with someone who's knowledgeable? So that's the whole reason we brought you specifically as a representation of Christianity. When I checked your Twitter, you have Christian there. So this is a Christian versus Muslim thing. If it's not, if you're an atheist, as you said, and you don't even understand the problem with being an atheist and arguing for that position, then your morality is subjective. And if your morality is subjective, then I can simply say, I disagree with your subjective morality. I don't need to convince you with anything. If you're coming with an objective morality, and that is the position, unless you disagree that morality sources from God, you're making a moral claim.
You can still have inconsistencies in objective morals. Listen, you can still have inconsistencies even if you believe morality is objective logically.
I agree.
Okay, great. So then all we need here is the proposition. All we need here is a proposition. That's it. Can you give us all I want is a proposition from you that just clarifies that the age of consent in Islam does not exist and that you're going to defend the age of consent and when it's appropriate to have sex with people under the age of whatever. That's all I need. I just need the prop from you. And regardless of what my moral stance is, you're on defense this portion of the debate. You're defending your worldview here.
I disagree. I didn't say that this is a
defense. What do you mean you disagree?
I'll tell you now if you allow me to speak, right?
Okay.
Interrupting me with speaking. Now, this is not a defense attack. This is a discussion about the idea of the age of consent. That's what I agreed upon. I didn't agree that I'm just going to be defending.
That's illogical.
I'm going to tie my hands. I'm going to tie my hands for you so you can.
No. I'm tying my hands for you on the Trinity. I'm not using any whataboutisms on the Trinity.
You're welcome.
It'll just be purely my theology, purely what I believe. You can purely attack it. There'll be no what about Islam because I have a proposition. It's my job to defend that proposition in that debate. It's your job here to defend this proposition in this debate. Do you understand that?
Well, thank you for telling me my job, but you're not the one who dictates my job. As I said,
that's how logic works, sir.
Again,
how does logic work? Do you know how logic works?
You're not able to let other people speak, right? You've got an issue. Like you feel like I'm going to say something.
I need you to tell me that you know how logic works.
All right, I'm going to speak the way I want to speak. I'm going to say the way I want to say. As I said, you're allowed to show inconsistencies in the Muslim position. I don't have any issues with that. But to try to pretend I cannot talk about the Christian position, it's just hypocritical. I never agreed to that.
Why is it hypocritical?
And I'm not going to.
Can you explain why that's hypocritical?
Okay, I'll ask you a question. Okay.
Don't ask me a question. Explain why it's hypocritical.
I'm doing that with a question.
No. The question doesn't prove it's hypocritical. Just tell me how it's hypocritical.
It does when you respond to the question.
No, it doesn't.
you
Tell me how it's hypocritical. As using the Socratic method, absent a position, is ridiculous. Start first with telling me what's hypocritical about me asking you to defend your worldview paradigm without me having to defend mine.
I'll do that.
Okay.
No, I didn't say I cannot. I didn't say I cannot defend my worldview. I said I would like to represent the Christian hypocrisy. That's something I would like to do. I don't need to do, but I would like to show all of these Christians, to show all of these Christians how hypocritical they are when they criticize the Prophet Muhammad. And that's very fair. That's what I was doing.
Your turn to attack, which is during the Trinity portion. Why do you think I gave two portions?
Why would I talk about the age of consent in the Trinity? That makes zero sense. I'm not going to talk about the age of consent in the portion.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let me just ask you this instead. Here's an actual question.
No, you're not allowed to ask me because you said I'm not allowed to ask you. So you're not allowed.
You're not allowed to ask the question. I'll just explain it to you.
All right.
There is zero reason, none, nil, why it is that you would ever need to use a whataboutism, what about them over there, to defend the things that you believe. It's totally unnecessary to a debate. In fact, it's fallacious to do in a debate, has nothing to do with what we're talking about. We're talking only about this one thing, which is the age of consent in Islam. That is the debate, has nothing to do with Christianity. Can you explain how that has a thing to do with Christianity? One thing. Tell me how it has anything to do with Christianity.
All right, I already done that, but maybe you're not listening. First, if the only word you know is whataboutism, it doesn't help. I've already explained. When you mentioned a few things about Islam, I respond from my Islamic paradigm, like about Aisha, about the threes, about all of that. I responded from the Islamic paradigm. I did not bring the Bible, but I can see you're scared that I'm going to bring the Bible and bring church fathers and what Christians believe, which is why I'm going to do it, because you are afraid of people seeing what Christians have been engaging in for the last 2,000 years.
Even if I was totally what would it have to do with the age of consent in Islam? Can you tell me that? Tell me that. Can't answer the question.
The position, I'm doing it right now. And if the position of Christianity was that morality sources from God, and the Bible shows that you can have intercourse with those people who are under the age, then it's not immoral, and you cannot attack Muslims for something that is not immoral for you. It makes no sense. It's like me saying, I believe X is perfectly moral, but you cannot do it. For you, it's immoral. So I'm going to attack you on that.
Well, that's called
that would be hypocritical. That's what it's going to be.
First of all, saying that somebody's
Are you so scared? Why are you so scared?
First of all, saying someone's a hypocrite's an argument from hypocrisy. Still wouldn't prove your claim is true, even if my claim was not. That's one. Two, you're also engaging in a tu quoque fallacy. What about you? Has nothing to do with the argument. You're here to defend the age of consent of Islam. Now, can you do that or can you not? And I'm going to reclaim all 45 minutes because we've been having this meta conversation. Are you able to do that or are you not able to do that?
Okay, but before you respond, because this is now it seems like we're still trying to figure out the stipulations of the debate. I don't think it's worthwhile to go back on the time, but I was
worthwhile.
Sure, I was under the
to the debate.
Sure,
it's gonna happen. We're not gonna go back on the time. He just wants to
wait. And before you respond, Muslim Lantern,
to engage in a debate. Yeah, we're going back on the time. Yeah, absolutely.
We're not going
I'm not going to let you cheat. I'm not going to let you cheat.
Oh, you're the one cheating now. Who wants extra time?
Meta conversation because you have said.
Okay, it's so sad. It's really so sad. Really so sad what you're trying to do.
Okay, hold on. Before you respond, let's go back to the. Hold on, Andrew.
Logic.
Let's stop the crosstalk for 5 seconds. Okay, I was under the impression that it was going to be Islam, the Christian position versus the Islam position. But if you don't,
it's one of those. There is a Christian position versus. There's just the Christian position of the Trinity.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that. We'll get into that.
Yeah,
but, okay.
The position.
Can you let the host speak, please? Can you let the host finish what he's saying?
The host just asked me a question.
No, I wasn't asking a question.
He didn't ask you. He just said he didn't ask you a question.
I wasn't asking a question. But I want to establish that I think that Muslim Lantern. I'll ask you a question. If you are okay defending the age of consent position of Islam without are you okay with it not being
argumentation?
Just defending it and not talking about Christian. Is that what you do? Do you want him to not debate Islam without bringing up Christianity, Andrew?
Yeah. Well, his job is to defend the Islamic position, not to his whataboutisms are meaningless to me. I just want the defense of the Islamic position. I'll give him the defense of the Trinity from the Christian position. I won't bring up Islam at all. It's totally irrelevant to the debate whether or not the Trinity is logical, illogical, or whatever has nothing to do with Islam. Why would it ever have anything to do with Islam? He never presented a case for why it would be that he would need to bring any Christian faith or any group, any Hindu faith, any Indian faith, any satanic faith. None of that would be necessary for him to demonstrate and defend his position on the age of consent. Do you understand that, Muslim Lantern, or not?
All right, so I'm going to speak uninterrupted as I allowed you to speak uninterrupted. That's what happens with Christians when you discuss with them. They turn liberal, they turn atheist. Oh, I'm atheist now. Please don't mention Christianity, because if you mention it, you're going to expose my hypocrisy. You're going to expose, I'm accusing you of something that actually exists within Christianity. So please just talk about Islam. Islam only, no Christianity, please. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to let you hide behind the bush. We're not going to let you try to pretend as if this is just an Islam thing. It's not. In your portion, you've made that condition upon yourself that you don't want to mention anything to do with the Trinity in Islam. There's no Trinity in Islam, so there's nothing to mention. Whether you want to mention or you don't want to mention, that's up to you. You want to bring verses of the Quran which you think the Trinity exists in, you like to do that. You're welcome to do that. If you want to bring anything about the Trinity from an Islamic point of view, I'll give you all the whole floor. Do it. But to try to pretend I'm not going to bring Christian, because I have here a long history, which I'm going to present, because I was actually collecting it in the last few hours, of church fathers and their positions on the age of consent, on the whole Christian history and the Bible age and position of the age of marriage and age of consent, which shows and demonstrates the complete hypocrisy of the Christians when they try to speak about the Muslim position of Prophet Muhammad or any of that. He mentioned certain points about Islam. I've already responded from an Islamic position. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to do what he's asking, which is to respond why there is no inconsistency in the Muslim position. Number two, I'm going to highlight that this is actually the Christian position. Whatever he's critiquing is his own position. And he doesn't want me to do that because he's scared, because he knows that's a fact and that's a reality, which is why he's trying to hold me into speaking about this or that. I didn't tell him to talk about this or that. All the agreement was, you talk about Islam in the way you want. I'll talk about Christianity.
I'll just ask a simple question on the meta side of this before we reclaim the time. And yes, I'm reclaiming the time because we haven't even had the debate. I need to ask specifically, why is it necessary for you to have a straw man, or for you to bring up, and a very simple answer to this would be great. Can you explain to me why it's actually necessary for you to point to any group other than your own to defend your group's position? Why is that actually necessary in a logical debate? Why?
Again, I said to you, I'll say it simply. I'm not saying anything is...
I want you to respond to necessary.
That's what I'm about to say. I didn't say it was necessary. I said I would love... I said I would like to do that, to highlight hypocrisy, which is very important. Now, you are asking me the question, I'm responding to you, you're making a moral argument. I don't think you don't. I understand what objective and subjective morality is. It seems like you don't. You coming and keep mentioning logical fallacies, but you don't understand a simple thing as that the age of consent or marriage or whatever it is, if you want to claim something is immoral or moral, you need to have an objective justification for that. As I said, and as Nico mentioned, he was under the impression, I believe all the viewers are, that this is an Islam versus Christianity thing. And he can do a poll and show how you're incorrect. And that is the position of everyone watching this except yourself somehow. So if this is an Islam versus Christianity, I'm going to show the Christian position, simply. And you're welcome to show the Islamic position, critique it, and show inconsistencies. And I'm welcome to respond to that. I'm not going to allow now all of the hours I spent on bringing sources, showing your Christian history and position. I'm not going to mention any of that. That's not going to happen. I'm going to mention what I want to mention about Christianity. And in your portion, in the Trinity, you're welcome to mention whatever you want about Islam.
Okay.
That's not straw man. I disagree with you. I've already responded.
I'm sorry. When was this debate ever discussed as being a debate on the age of consent in Christianity versus the age of consent in Islam? It was specifically stated as the age of consent in Islam. I was on the phone with you, and you said you would do that debate.
Again,
literally, that's what you said you would do.
I didn't say age of consent in Christianity and Islam. I'm saying to you, Christian versus Muslim thing. So Christianity has...
It would be the same thing. That's the same thing.
And I'm telling you how it's the same thing now. Christianity has a position. That position comes from where? It comes from the Bible, because Christians take their beliefs from the Bible. They take their divine positions of morality from the Bible. So if you want to make a moral claim
to do this
on behalf...
logical perspective,
again, I'm finishing it now. I'm finishing it now. If you are going to argue for the age of consent from Andrew Wilson's perspective, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the Christian position, because this is a discussion that is to do with 2 billion Muslims and 2 billion Christians. It's not about you and me. You might think, you might have some egoism. You might have some egoism. You might have some egoism.
Hold on. Let's not do the interruption. There's too many interruptions.
Yeah, you might think that you have some egoism and believe that like you're that important that everyone needs to listen to your subjective position on
You agreed
morality.
to the debate, dude.
I'm not interested. No, I agreed for Islam versus Christianity.
Yeah,
I've said that a few times.
So show me where that was ever stated anywhere. Ever.
Now, we're saying it now. If you disagree with it,
Oh,
then
you're saying it now. Oh, you're just going to make it up now because you have to use straw mans for your argumentation.
I was under that impression. Sneaker was under that impression. I responded multiple times, telling you that the whole point I'm discussing with you. The whole point.
Okay, let me step in.
Okay.
I have to admit, like, and I'm trying to be as fair as possible. The reason that I wanted to set this up is because your YouTube name is the Paleo Christian, if I'm not mistaken, and your YouTube name is the Muslim Lantern. So I was under the impression that if we're gonna go and argue the age of consent, that it would come from a Christian perspective and a Muslim perspective. That is the name of both of your channels, and that's what I thought.
No,
the position.
That's not the name of my channel. My Twitter handle is Paleo Christcon. My channel is called The Crucible, but that's why it says it on the hat. But on top of that, just so you understand, if you're ever going to host debates in the future, right? This is just basic logic 101. He has a position, he has a proposition, he defends the position of the proposition. Him ever stating anything about what some other group believes or some other proposition that's not his proposition, always going to be irrelevant to a debate, has nothing at all to do with the debate. It's a whataboutism, and all it does is drain the clock so that you can't ask your questions. I would never do that to him on the Trinity. Never, ever in a million years would I say, oh, what about the Muslim position for blah? It has nothing to do with anything. Do you both now understand that that is true?
We disagree with you, and your
No,
proposition.
under what
Again,
criteria could you ever disagree with this?
when you let me speak, you'll know. But when you interrupt me when I start saying
You haven't
something,
made an argument. You just prattle, dude. You do Muslim prattle.
You just speak and interrupt with all the respect. Like you've not really presented anything. You've not even presented an argument. All you mentioned is
We're having an argument. We're having a meta argument about the debate because I need the terms to be clarified so we can actually have this debate.
Okay, what terms do you want to clarify? What terms do you want to clarify?
Nico, just 1 second. I want to say one thing, and then you can ask him about the terms if you like. In formal debates, and people are welcome to go and watch that. If you want to have a formal debate, a person has a time. There's a topic. In your time, you can talk about whatever you want related to that topic. What he's trying to do here, as I said, is he's afraid of the position that I'm going to demonstrate and show, the Christian position on the age of consent, that he tries to criticize the Islam and Muslims of believing whatever the number is. So you can have time and you can speak about whatever you want to do, and I will speak about whatever I want to do. If you don't like that, then you're just whining and crying with all due respect about what I can speak about, what I cannot speak about. Either have the discussion, allow people to watch the discussion and listen to different points of views, or not. That's your position. That's up to you. No one is forcing you.
Was this marketed as a discussion or marketed as a debate? I was told that this was
debate.
a debate.
Let's have a formal time then. Let's have a formal time. You'll have your time, I have my time.
No. We specifically agreed not to have a formal time in this debate.
Unless it gets this way.
Formal time in a debate.
Unless it gets, I said in the
agreed to, and
I said that in the beginning.
By the way,
you can rewind the video. You can rewind the video.
I don't care what you said here. We set it up before we got here, so that
we didn't set up anything. We didn't set up.
I'm sorry. I could have sworn I got a phone call from Sneeko who said I'd like you to debate this guy, and I gave my terms and conditions. One was that there's no timer. Two, that the Muslim age of consent was a topic, and that we would do that topic. You agreed to that. We're on that topic. Has nothing to do with Christianity. That's just a way to eat up my time. I need you to agree that inside of logical argumentation, it is completely unnecessary under all worldviews. It's unnecessary for you to ever bring any other group or whatever they think or whatever they believe in to you defending this position. You have still not coherently stated why that is necessary, just that you really, really want to.
All right, I'm not in the habit of repeating myself. You just said the same thing you said. I'm not going to again repeat the same thing you said.
Yeah, well, can you refute it? Can you tell me why it's necessary, other than you just want to?
A few times. I've done it a few times. I don't need to do it again.
Okay, well, then I'm going to reset the clock, and if you just bring up anytime you bring up anything other than...
That's not going to happen. It's not under your terms.
Cut it off.
It's not going to happen.
Well, then we don't have terms for the debate, dude.
I'll give you the terms, and you see if you disagree. You'll have your time. I'll have my time. You present your case. I'll present.
No, that's not what we agreed to. This is all done under false pretenses.
Okay, so it just shows how you're scared of continuing this discussion. I'm being very reasonable. I'm saying everyone has their own time. He doesn't want to agree to that. I know you feel like you're being refuted, with all due respect, but it's okay. You can have your time. I can have my time.
Refuted.
You can present. You can present
logical argumentation.
You can present your argument. I can present mine, and it's as simple as that.
No, you're literally saying I must be forced into fallacious forms of argumentation where you're allowed to bring up things outside of the purview of the debate to waste time. That's totally unfair across the board, completely biased across the board. Nobody would ever agree to that in a real debate in a million years. Now, can you explain why that's necessary? Why it is that when I defend the Trinity, I'm not going to bring up anything other than the Trinity, because that's what we're debating. Why is it that you cannot do the same thing here? What would the position of Trinity have to do with the Muslim faith? Nothing. Nothing at all. Zero. Zilch. Yes or no?
Okay, well, if we don't want to keep wasting more time, because I don't want to reset the clock and do this again, then we shouldn't keep on discussing the terms of the debate, and we should just get into the topic of conversation.
We have to have clarity on the terms. If we don't have clarity on the terms, we have no debate.
But we didn't establish that before. We didn't establish that he couldn't bring up Christianity. That was never a point of discussion.
It was literally entailed. So I'm sorry. The idea that you say, I want to debate the Trinity, that is us debating this Christian idea of Trinitarianism. Has zero to do.
And you can bring up, and when we get to that topic, Andrew, you could.
Sneeko, let me finish. It has zero to do with anything except the Trinity. When I said I want to also debate the age of consent, the Muslim age of consent, that's literally what I said. This was agreed to. What in the world does that? Can you tell me, Sneeko, you, the moderator, what in the world does that have to do with Christianity? Can you explain that to me?
Right, but you can use that as an argument. When we get to the topic of the Trinity, you can go and bring up Islam if you want to.
It's not an argument. It's just fallacious time wasting.
If that's part of your argument, then that's part of your point of view.
Is he going to defend the Muslim age of consent, or is this going to be about what about them over there as well? Because it's not a debate. That's something else.
Here's what this guy Andrew is trying to do. He's trying to say, look, I've got no position. I just want to attack. That's what he likes to do. He thinks I'm going to allow him to do.
You don't need to have a position
now,
to attack a position.
He's trying to pretend as if him being a Christian does not have to represent the Christian position. Oh, don't mention my position, which is a Christian position, even though it's Islam versus Christianity. Just allow me to speak about Islam. Please allow me to speak about Islam. Don't speak about Christianity, because
you're totally lying about what this debate
people are going to be shocked. That's what you're doing.
Okay,
brought a condition that we didn't agree upon, in which I cannot mention Christianity.
Yes,
in my time. You've
did.
never mentioned that.
We did agree to it. Yes, we did. I was on the phone. I wanted to debate the Islamic age of consent. You said no, I don't want to. And I said, okay, well then I'm not doing the debate. You said, okay, then I will. And I said, okay, if you will. My understanding is that's what you were going to defend.
You were talking
yes,
to
you did.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
Yes, you did. No, you did say that. Okay,
I'll tell you what I said. You mentioned the age of consent. I said, that's the topic that you choose. I'll choose the topic of the Trinity. There was nothing in our discussion, which was like a few seconds, by the way, because we were not talking directly. We were talking through Sneeko. There's nothing. There is no terms that you brought.
Dude.
There is no terms. No, I was not on the speaker when you were speaking the whole time with you. When you claim that there is a condition that I cannot bring up Christianity, that was never brought, and Sneeko just mentioned that. To claim that this is the case, it's just a lie. You're trying to bring that up now and enforce it so you can try to pretend that you don't need to defend the Christian position, which is not going to happen. Either you're going to speak, you're going to represent your position, which is a Christian position, as a Christian, and I'm going to represent Islam as a Muslim, or there's no point of this is not Muslim Christian.
You're right. Then we don't have a debate because you don't understand the rules of debate or logical argumentation. I'm not going to allow you to fallaciously use whataboutisms over and over and over again. It has nothing to do with the Islamic age of consent. You've never demonstrated why it has anything to do with the Islamic age of consent. Nothing. You just want to, because you want to eat up time. By the way, that's very low tier. And honestly, sir,
I'm going to do that in my time. I'm not eating nothing. Let's have time. I'll do it on my time.
For wasting my time with this low tier bullshit.
You're going to run away now, right? Okay. I said you can have your time. I said you can have your time.
I'm here to debate why it is your prophet's pedophile. I'm here to debate that.
Exactly. That's what you're going to resort to. This is the thing. I said you'll have your time.
That's what I said in my opening. I said specifically that your prophet's a pedophile.
Okay. Now you said I said you'll have your time and I will have my time. I can mention whatever I want in my time. That's not eating up the time because this is my portion. You're trying to use silly excuses. I don't know if you even had formal debates. Have anyone ever seen a formal debate where people have time where someone will join? Oh, no, don't talk about my religion in your portion of the time.
Still have
Please,
rules, sir.
Don't do that.
You can't use fallacies inside of an informal debate. You realize that.
Let's have time and have a discussion. If you don't want to do that,
then what we'll do, we'll reclaim the time, 45 minutes on the age of consent. Let's start with this. How big Do you think that that your prophet's penis was about the average size of an Arab's penis?
This is not. This is a waste of time. Like there's no
this
point
is
of
not a waste
discussion.
of time. This is necessary.
It just shows
to
his
the
character.
conditionals of
I
my
think it's good.
argument.
It shows his character.
This is necessary to the conditionals of my argument.
Shows how much he's crying. He doesn't have a discussion time and can actually engage with the topic.
A question pertinent to the debate. I'm asking him. Can you answer my question, please?
Okay, but as the moderator, it doesn't make sense, and there's no debate that makes sense if you can't attack a position without establishing your position. You did your opening statement, and you said that the prophet...
You can't. You don't know what the you're talking about. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
Zero. Nothing. No clue what the you're even talking about.
All right.
He can attack imaginary positions, which is what he's doing essentially. He doesn't even know my position. He's just attacking imaginary. Or sorry, the Muslim position.
I'm literally asking you an opening question right this second.
Andrew, we're not going to continue this if you can't be civil and curse and do this stuff. Like, especially if you're going to say
civil.
We established in the beginning. You've been this whole conversation. We've been trying to talk about the things that were established. Again, before this even started, before I took down the timer, you said that we weren't going to do the cursing and we weren't going to get uncivil like this.
I'm not cursing. Do you understand that what
you
cursing means? No, that's cussing, not curse. To curse somebody is to actually curse them.
Okay.
Me saying the F word? Really, Sneeko? The F word? That's too much? I can't say the F word?
You could say what you want to say, but it seems like this is a waste of time.
I mentioned the prophet body part specifically for a reason, and he exactly did what I said. There's no point. That has no relevance to the discussion. But he will bring it up. He will bring it up.
Penis size has something to do with the relevancy of whether or not you're going to have sex with somebody who's not even reached puberty. Really,
here's what I think.
Relevancy.
Here's what I think, because you're unable to allow the other party to speak for long. Is you can have your time.
Keep blocking, bro.
Is you can have your time, present your case. I can have my time, present my case. We can do the same thing with the topic.
No, I want you to answer my actual questions.
I've been courteous enough with you to allow you to speak about your topic first. I could have said, let's talk about the Trinity first, and then
refusing to answer questions.
And the reason you're doing that is the reason you chose the topic, this specific topic, because what you want to do is to try to make me not talk about, not to talk. No. You're allowed to.
When can I do that?
We'll do that when we'll have a crossfire. Before we have a crossfire, you're welcome to have time. You're welcome to have your time. I'm welcome to have my time. That's what we can do. Other than that,
we can follow the terms of the debate that we agreed to, which was no time limit, and you can answer my question. Does it stand to reason?
That's not the terms I agreed to. That's not the terms I agreed to.
Yes, it was. The terms you agreed to was to not have a time debate. Don't lie.
Okay. No.
People watching.
No, that's not true. Hold on. That's not true. We said no. Hold up. We said no timers back and forth, but we did agree that it was going to be 45 minutes each discussion. 45 minutes for age of consent, 45 minutes for the Trinity.
Yeah, but we're talking about a timed debate. He's talking about having a timer. We specifically agreed not to have a timer because that's how you avoid questions. Oh, okay. I just want to avoid actually answering the question. Now, answer my question, please. Would you say it stands to reason that Muhammad probably had about the average size of an Arab man? Yes or no? Do you think so or not?
To respond, anyone can go back and rewind the video and show you're lying. Actually, someone can clip that because I know you guys have a clipping culture in which I said before he started his opening statement, I made it clear that if there was interruptions and it's going to be uncontrolled, we can have our each timing. He never said I disagree with this. This is not allowed. You're welcome to rewind the video, and they're going to show that. But now he's crying. Now he's crying about it because he doesn't want me to mention
the conditionals agreed to before we ever did the debate. You don't jump in the debate and then create new conditionals, dummy. That's not how it works.
We also said we weren't going to
insult you.
We said we weren't going to do the insults either, Andrew.
It's not an insult if it's true.
It is Christianity.
That's not an insult if it's true. You agree with me? There are dumb people in the world, right?
Right. We said we weren't going to do the ad hominem attacks, Andrew.
It's not an ad hom if it's true. Now, can you please answer my opening question? Can we actually get to the debate or can't we?
I made my position clear. Can I have time? You can talk about what you want.
Okay,
and then we can have a crossfire. And then we can have a crossfire.
A simple question then? Here's my simple question to you. Do you think that it stands to reason that Muhammad, the prophet which you worship, likely had an average size penis? for an Arab man. Do you think that does that stand to reason?
We can have our timings, and then we can do the crossover.
Why are
ask
you
your
not answering
and
my
I will-
question?
And I will respond to you once the timing is done, and we go to the crossover portion.
Okay,
Crossfire.
I'm sorry. Are you refusing to answer any questions that I ask you?
No, I'm refusing to let you, as you think you're going to dictate the terms of this discussion. That's not going to happen. And I mentioned that to you in the beginning. You might think you're smart and you can allow people to do. You dictated your own terms. I dictated mine.
Dude, I'm trying to do the debate. Can you answer the question?
Let's do the debate. You have your time and speak.
No, that's not
and I will
what
have
we
my
agreed
time.
to.
And
Can you tell me
then
when I
we have
ever
different
agreed
terms.
to do that? No, you
I'm telling you
agreed
now.
to the terms before the debate.
Which terms?
You agreed that this would not be a timed response debate, but an open debate.
I know. I mentioned in the beginning that if there is
You
interruptions,
can't change the terms when I get to the debate, dude.
The whole point
No,
was
you
that
can't
there's
because
no
it
time
didn't start.
responses if there's crossfire, if there's interruptions, or going back. Like we could do the way we started the debate was fine, open statement, and then Muslim answer respond, open statement. We can go this way, but
No, we're not going that way. We're going to do what we agreed to do.
Okay,
That's what I
he's
agreed
just
to
trying
do.
to dictate the terms.
You're not going to
It's
get
called
me under
dictating the
false
terms.
pretenses
When you
here.
lose, you try to
agreed.
dictate the terms. That's what you do.
okay. This is going in circles. This is
logic, dude. What are you trying to lose? We haven't even done a debate. You won't even answer my opening question.
Mentioning the word logic doesn't mean what you're saying is logical, right? I know you mentioned it a few times to try maybe.
Oh, really? Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Can you even name?
You're not going to ask me a question. You're going to have your time. I'm going to have my time.
Name 3
and then
laws
we
of
can talk.
logic? Can you even name 3 laws of logic? Can you even name
As
them?
I said.
Yeah,
As I
you
said,
can't.
the
You don't
law
know
of
shit.
non-contradiction, the
So
law of
what-
identity. You want me to look? You don't.
What's
You
the third
just.
one? What's the third one? What's the third one?
I'm not going to be. I'm not going to be falling into. I'm not going to. This is such a childish behavior, which just demonstrates how childish you are with all this. I expected more.
I'm sorry you can't. I'm sorry you can't.
It's just a childish thing, you know. Either you have your time, I have my time, or there's no point.
Or are you going to run? Are you going to answer my opening question or not? So are we actually going to
have
debate now? No, we're not doing a timed response. We're not doing timed. We agreed not to do timed. Don't lie and say we did. Neither one of you should be doing that. Neither one of you should be lying and saying that you didn't agree to that because you definitely agreed to it.
We also
Yeah, right.
agreed to
So-
not do
that we would not
the
have a
insulting and
time
ad homs, Andrew. But this seems like it's going in circles here.
Come on, I call my friends all the time, Sneeko.
Okay, we're not friends.
That's His
Right.
Christianity. Yeah, that's his Christianity.
Muslim Lancer and myself, we're not friends
Oh,
with you.
Lord.
Okay.
Oh, you guys are a bunch of Puritans now? You're Puritans? I can't say you said the word out now.
No, you said in the beginning, if you want to go in terms, you did say in the beginning you weren't going to do this. Let's move on to the. Let me propose this as the moderator. Okay, we're going in circles on the age of consent. We can return to this, and it seems like we have more agreement upon the terms of the debate when it comes to the Trinity.
We're not going to do anything but the debate we came here to do, man. That's what I agreed to.
Okay, but we've been going in circles for about 30 minutes. If we can go to the Trinity, maybe we return to the age of consent afterwards. Is that okay?
I would like to finish. I would like to actually do this debate, and I'd like him to actually adhere to the terms that he agreed to, which is why I laid them out so precisely. No timing. We agreed to that. Both of you agreed to it. You can say you're not my friend. That's great, but don't lie because you both agreed to that. And so we're here. I ask him a simple question. After we have this elongated meta conversation, he doesn't understand basic logical argumentation. That's fine. But I asked him a simple question. He can't even answer the simple question. How's that good faith? How can we even have a debate if he won't defend his position?
Let's highlight how he's openly lying over here. And we can do that very simply. You, Sneeko, can, on this screen, bring the stream, and go before his opening statement, where I explicitly told him that if there will be interruptions, and I explicitly mentioned that he's been interrupting multiple times, there will be time, so it can be fair. Now, you're welcome to do that right now, Sneeko, and show how this guy is lying to his teeth a few times now, and this is the third or fourth, fifth time he does it.
You don't.
Where I
change
explicitly
the terms when we
mentioned,
get to the debate,
and he
dude.
did not say, "Oh, we cannot do that," because we were talking about the terms. We were talking about the Prophet. We were talking about terms. We were agreeing on terms before his opening statement, but now he wants to pretend as if this was not the case. That's
I came in and literally have marketed this multiple times on my broadcast. It's an untimed debate. That's what we agreed to, gave the conditionals for the debate, why I took the debate. I'm a logical debater. I'm here to have a logical argument with you. You're incapable of that. You don't even understand the basic rules of argumentation. You think I need to have a position in order to completely eviscerate yours? Not even necessary. You have a position here to defend. I have a position here to defend. You just refuse to engage in the debate. You also are now refusing to answer basic questions because you want to have some time back and forth. We never agreed to that, ever. It was never agreed to. And I was even good faith enough to tone down the opening statement that I had for you because your virgin ears can't hear any, criticism of your prophet. Ridiculous.
So that's it. I'm allowing him to exert his energy. I'm not going to do that and keep repeating. He's saying, "Oh, you don't know logic." He asked me, "Oh, name 3 laws of logic," and
you couldn't. You only named 2.
Oh, okay, law of excluded middle. There you go. These are the 3 basic
did
laws
your
of
chat
logic.
Finally tell you
there
that?
There you go. What chat? I don't have chat open. Such a lame. I'm not streaming. How do I have chat off? So you can tell me, You see, why this childish behavior, man? Grow up. I don't know how old you are, but you honestly need to grow up a little bit.
When you decided to change the terms when I get here, I'm understandably a little bit miffed by that. You refuse to go by the terms that you agreed to. You don't understand.
I didn't agree with you on no timing at all. I didn't agree with that.
You did. You did agree to that. I said none time debate. You said absolutely. You did agree to that. I don't know if Sneako's going to tell the truth about it, but you definitely agreed.
Yeah, but the condition was unless it started crossfire interruptions, then we would do time because we assumed that it was going to be civil and we were not going to do ad hominem attacks.
Any such conditionals.
We said that in the beginning of the discussion.
We'll play it. You can play it later.
You say
people are going to see.
When you
people are going to see
debate. We change the rules when you actually get to the debate.
Debate didn't start yet. We didn't have a discussion. Me and you.
Andrew, being fair, we said that we did say this in the beginning of the conversation, and because I care about the stream, there's many people watching. I'll propose this. We could return to this because we're going in circles. We cannot agree about the age of consent. I propose that,
we never had a debate on the age of consent. It's not that there's a lack of agreement or some agreement.
Right, but both parties are disagreeing.
Both of us and move to the next part of the debate. We haven't even done the first part of the debate. He refuses to even answer a single question of mine, not one. He just outright refused to answer any questions I asked him.
He made an opening statement. I made a rebuttal of his opening statement. I never made an opening statement yet. I was going to present my position, and then
you made an opening statement. What are you talking about? It was muted for the entirety of it.
Yeah, that was a rebuttal first before I got into the portion where I talk about my position.
What?
That's why 5 minutes. Which debate in the world do you have 5 minutes, and then you get into crossfire? There's no time to present anything. So unless you've never debated in your life, please go ahead, show me a debate in which there was 5 minutes, and the rest of the discussion open fire when you need to dictate time.
300 of them right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, yours, yeah. Yes, yeah, exactly. Yours, yeah.
No, you can see them all.
Actual debates, yeah.
Thousands on modern day debate. Thousands of them on modern day debate.
Everyone has his time on modern day debate, and after that they get into the rebuttal portion.
Bro, they have an opening statement and then it's open.
How long is the opening statement? 5 minutes?
It's about 5 minutes.
You're wrong. Go ahead.
No, I'm not wrong. I've been on there many times.
Disprove me. Show me an example.
You can go watch my debate on Modern Day Debate with Skylar Fiction. It was 2 opening statements, and then we went right into open dialogue.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about actual other people who debate. Bring me a debate of people other than yourself.
You can see it with Daniel Kikikachu. They do their opening statements, and then they go right into open dialogue.
Exactly. 20 minutes. 20 minutes. They have 10 minutes rebuttals. Then they have the back and forth.
That is not true.
People can see that on their own. But anyways.
Yeah, they can go see it on their own. You're lying through your teeth. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Sure. They're going to do that on their own time. As I said, here, this is the format that I would agree with. Your format, I don't agree with. So it's as simple as that. We're not going to have it your way because you want to have it your way.
You won't answer questions, dude. If you refuse to answer questions, there is no debate. The opening question I had for the debate, you refused to answer. You said, no, I want to have timed responses. I want you to actually answer my questions.
I'll tell you this. You'll have your time, I'll have my time. I'll answer your questions.
No, we're not going to go back on the format of the debate. We're not doing it. Okay. I'm not going to get to the debate.
Then you're trying to escape the debate. You're trying to escape the debate. You wanted me to answer your question?
You agree to the terms, and then I'm obfuscating by adhering to the terms. Okay, that makes sense.
I already responded. I didn't agree to that term of me not talking about
You did agree to it.
I didn't agree to that.
You did. Yeah, you did.
Okay, that's a lie.
We were on the phone. Well, I mean, all I can do is go on and adhere to your honesty.
Yeah, your own opinion, right? Okay, so that's what you have.
So if you're conditioned, is it permitted to lie in Islam?
You just lied. You just lied.
What you said was that there was no conversation before the debate where you didn't agree to no time.
Okay, this is getting childish. If he's not gonna look, it's over here. It's past 1 p.m.
Yeah, if we can't make an agreement, I'm just gonna end this. This is not getting. This is not productive at all. I'll propose one more time. Like we can go to the Trinity, or we can just end this. With Asian consent, it's going nowhere. Being fair.
never had the first part of the debate. We're definitely not going to have the second part. If you guys want to keep to the terms of what we agreed to, no way.
Okay, appreciate you coming on.
All right.